It's time to work with everyone's favorite numbers. We are going to be working with fractions. I know everyone just thinks fractions are the best. The rational numbers are our fractions. They're any number that can be written as a fraction. So remember, 3 can be written as a fraction. It could be written as 3 over 1, 6 over 2, 300 over 100. So any of those natural numbers, whole numbers, and integers that we already saw are going to be fractions, but then we'll also pick up other things like 1/2 and -1/4. So let's see, the rational numbers, I'm going to say they're going to be in that form a over b, where a and b are integers and b cannot be 0. And we'll see that a lot in the definition and the directions on problems, and those are just a little bit of grammar things. What that means is a can't be a fraction. We don't want 1/2 over 1/4. They have to be integers. They can't be decimals either, and we can't divide by 0. We actually looked at dividing by 0 way back in chapter 3 and talked about why we can't really divide by 0. The top of our fraction is called the numerator, and the bottom of the fraction is called a denominator. So a is the numerator and b is the denominator. And there's not going to be any way to get out of this. Every grade level is going to deal with fractions. We first introduced them in kindergarten with the idea of half of something. And we talk about it with symmetry. You can think about having pictures of butterflies or flowers and folding them in half and drawing that line. Then in first grade, we introduced things called unit fractions. Unit fractions are fractions with a 1 in the numerator. So 1/2, 1/4, 1/3, 1/7, any of that stuff without 1 up top. So we introduce unit fractions, and then by second grade, we'll introduce all different types of fractions, 2/3, and then in third grade, we'll start adding, subtracting those guys, and we just keep going and keep practicing that over and over in different grade levels. So you're not going to get away from it. You're going to be dealing with fractions no matter what grade level you're going to be in. We have several different models that we can use to help visualize fractions. So first will be our area model. So I'm just going to I'll do the fraction 3/5. An area model can take on any shape. Circles are a little hard to draw, so I'm going to do a rectangle. The denominator is going to tell me how many total things I'm going to have in. I'm going to have like the smaller rectangles in here, pieces that I would have. And we do have to make sure that our pieces are all equal in size. You can't have one tiny and one big one. So we want to have 5 equal pieces here. And I am going to shade 3 of those. So just kind of point out while we're talking about this. This is not a good one, so I won't put it over there. It's a horrible circle. Let me try again with that. That's a little bit better. I could not call this guy 1/2 because they are not equivalent in size. Those two pieces, the left-hand side is much smaller. So when you're breaking them into these pieces, your whole area model, try your best to make them equivalent. And you'll be turning that work into me. So make sure that I could see it. They don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get out a ruler, but to the eye, they need to look the same. We have our new number line model. We've seen that a whole bunch. I'll keep with this idea of 3/5. So I'm going to have 0 to 1. And then I would have 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. And if you have to go back and erase and redraw, you saw in that area model, I kind of had to adjust. That's perfectly fine. Again, pretty evenly spaced out. 3/5 is going to go from 0 all the way to the 3/5. So you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, those spaces there. One that kind of gets people is a set model. A set model has objects, uses objects, instead of a whole area model, which is like one big, like a pizza split up or a candy bar. A set model might have different pictures and we have to color them in. I'm not going to be great at drawing pictures, so I'm just going to draw circles here. So for my 3/5, I might think about having 5 of these guys and coloring in 3. So that's a set model for 3/5. I'm going to draw another set model. That would also be 3/5. We will talk about equivalent fractions. We're going to get to that. So just hang on a minute. I know that this has more than 5 things in it. But 3/5, I also could think about if I were to split this set model has more than 5 things. If I would think about making it 5 groups out of them, I would color everything in those groups. So this same fraction has a different set model. So those are 2 different set models for 3/5.